J.J. Dewey here. We're talking about the subject of the program, which is The Majority Speaks. And the idea behind this is that Congress has drifted away from the will of the majority of the people. And so we've reached a point in time where this division has become so pronounced that the majority of the people, the heart of the people itself, has to step forward and do something about it, to remind our representatives that they have to represent us. So the basic idea we've been presenting, just in case you missed the past few weeks, is that we are going to find congresspeople that are going to commit themselves before the election to vote with the majority of the people. And you can go to our webpage and see exactly how this works, but there is a way to make this work to where we can actually have the majority of the people represented. Now, what I've written up is what is called the 95 Thesis. This was patterned after the 95 Thesis given by Martin Luther in the year 1517 that created the whole revolution in Christianity and took us away from authoritarian rule. And the fact that he was very upset at a number of things the church was doing, including selling indulgences, or in other words, promising people that they would go to heaven if they just paid the church a bunch of money, and it left the majority out in the cold. So Martin Luther spoke for the majority when he wrote the 95 Thesis. And so a new 95 Thesis needs to be presented again today in a new language, but this time toward the politicians that are selling a new type of indulgences to modern society. Now last week we got to number 19. We're going to continue. This is part 2 going through the 95 Theses. The next section is on taxes. This is short and sweet. These are areas, let me remind you, that the majority of the people are against what Congress has been doing to us. And number 20 is this: the amount of taxes paid by the people need to go down, not up. It's funny, the majority of the people support this, even though almost half of the people do not pay any income tax at all. It's amazing. 50% of the people pay almost no income tax. I think it's something like 47% pay zero federal income tax. But even among these people that don't pay federal income tax, quite a few of them still think taxes are too high because, for one thing, there's all kinds of other taxes that get these people. But if you go take a poll among the people that actually pay taxes, for the taxes they are hit by, they are definitely, the majority of the people definitely think they're taxed too high. The majority of people who pay property tax think the property tax is too high. People think the sales tax is too high. People think just about every tax we have is too high, especially income tax, state income tax. All these taxes are too high. The majority of people want somehow for them to go down, not up. Now the politicians, when it gets time to get elected, they'll say, hey, we're going to make your taxes go down, but then as soon as they get in, they say, well, you know, we just raise it a little bit here, and then they say, well, we'll raise it a little bit over here, and then a little bit here, and they're trying to treat us like, they're trying to boil us like a frog. In other words, everybody's heard the story about the frog. If you put him in hot water to boil him, he'll just jump out. But if you put him in cold water and heat it up gradually, he'll let you boil him to death. And so politicians seem to think that if they just raise taxes a little bit at a time, we will put up with anything. But we're reaching the boiling point now, and what the majority need to realize is we're being boiled. So it's time to do something before we go too far in this area. Another thing where the people as a whole, the majority of the people, are against something that's been talked about a lot in Congress is taxing the internet, taxing and controlling it. People want the internet the way it is. This is like almost the last bastion of freedom. We reached a point where it seemed like all kinds of media was beyond our control, and suddenly the internet is just jumps out to us and offers us a tremendous opportunity for freedom. And people really like this. And the majority of the people want to keep the internet as free as possible. And politicians need to be aware of this, but they don't seem to be very aware. Every day you see something in the paper or hear something in the media where they're either going to tax it or have ideas of controlling it, or just think we just have too much freedom of expression on there. There's people on the internet saying things that the politicians in Congress and president and all the powers that be, we're saying things on there that they don't like. They don't want to hear certain things on there, so there's a lot of people want to control it. We don't want anyone controlling the internet outside of maybe, outrageous things like child porn, things like that. But as far as political speech and general free speech and keeping it free from outrageous taxes, the majority of the people are definitely side against the government on that point. And the number 22 is kind of in the tax realm and also in the freedom big government realm, which is this: we have punished smokers enough. Let us cease raising their taxes, ostracizing them anymore, while continuing to educate the people about the dangers of smoking or the consumption of anything else that's considered unhealthy. Now, I don't smoke myself, I never would, but if they come after the smokers, and if they come after the people that's using trans fats, and if they come after the people that's eating too much, how long will it be before they eventually come after you? It's like the old saying goes, they came after the Jews and I wasn't a Jew, so, I didn't do anything. And they came after the gays, I wasn't gay, so, I just didn't bother me. And the old saying goes through one thing after another, and then finally, and they came after me, and by the time they came after me, there was nobody to speak for me. Well, they're really coming after the smokers, they're coming after the people that drink adult beverages, they're coming after people who eat too much. And you may think that's great if you don't eat too much, if you don't smoke, if you don't drink or whatever, but the time will come if we give them the authority to come after us for all these things that we think everybody else needs to be reformed in, then sooner or later they'll come after us for something we believe or something we eat or something we drink that may be entirely harmless. Next is in the area of big government. And we could probably make a lot longer list on this than we have, but number 23 reads this: the number of government employees needs to be reduced, not increased. As you know, the government passed a stimulus bill of $780-some billion, and most of the increase in jobs came from government jobs instead of the private sector. And the trouble with that is when the stimulus money goes away, who has to pay the salaries of these government jobs? Well, it has to come from additional taxes, either state taxes, local taxes, federal taxes, tariffs, or some type of tax has to pay for this increase in government jobs. We don't need any more government jobs. We've got many people in government that we could do without. Matter of fact, sometimes I think the people that need to really go on vacation is Congress itself, because when Congress goes on vacation, the economy always does a lot better. The private sector always says, man, when Congress is gone, now we can get to work and actually increase hiring and improve the economy. But we got way too many government jobs, and the majority of people realize this. Now, if we have enough people in government, eventually, these people in government, of course, they don't want their jobs done away with. So if we get a high enough percentage in there, then we can reach a point where the majority will say, yeah, we want more government jobs. And if we ever reach that point, we're pretty much doomed economically to be a third world country. 24, the government can advise us what to eat and drink, but not tell us what to eat and drink. This is really important because, again, we have more and more people. This goes along with the smoking thing. They're telling us all kinds of regulations the smokers have to abide by, but then we have more and more people surface that think they need to tell us what to eat and drink. Now, I'm really big on health foods. I always try to eat organic foods and as much as I can afford them, and fresh fruits and vegetables. And I'm really big on having a good diet, but I am not big on telling what other people what they have to do, or else they'll have to pay some fine or maybe even go to jail. I'm totally against that. My own morality is mine, and our legislator's own morality is his. It's not his job to tell us what to eat and drink. 25, we do not desire the government to dismantle or fundamentally change principles that built this country and have been proven to work. And we keep having this happen again and again. We keep hearing feedback from our representatives and our government officials saying, well, you know, the old ways don't work anymore, so we need to alter the Constitution. The Constitution won't quite cut it in this way. And so what they've often done is create unconstitutional law that's actually been supported by judges of every level, unfortunately, because a lot of them don't seem to understand the Constitution. If we're going to change the Constitution, and instead of disregarding it, if there is an actual need to change it, we need to go back and change the Constitution constitutionally, so we're at least legally. If there's some problem with it, and the founders of this country acknowledge that the Constitution probably wasn't perfect, that's why they made an avenue to add amendments and to make changes. And so we need to make the changes legally rather than just ignoring the law or working around it. And there's so many laws that's on the books now that are actually unconstitutional, which are not upheld by our representatives or judges or anyone. And many of the people are not educated on it, so they just think everything is constitutional when it may not be. I won't go through all the details on that. We could talk about that forever.